John Carter stood alone in the dim light of NASA's Deep Space Monitoring Station. The coffee in his mug had gone cold hours ago, forgotten as strange patterns appeared on his screen. The signal wasn't like anything he'd seen before, irregular pulses that repeated in a complex sequence that couldn't possibly be natural. "Hey, Martinez, come look at this," John called to his colleague at the next console. Paul Martinez rolled his chair over and squinted at the display. "What am I looking at?" "Something broadcasting from Sector 47B. It's been repeating for 3 hours now." Martinez frowned. "That's way beyond our usual range. How are we even picking this up?" John shook his head. "It's strong. Whatever's sending it wants to be heard." The two men worked through the night, running the signal through every analysis program they had. By morning, they had enough to take to their supervisor, Dr. Olivia Moss. "You're saying this is artificial?" Dr. Moss asked, studying their data. "It has to be," John replied. "The pattern is too precise, too complex. And there's something else." He played the converted audio, a haunting, rhythmic sound that made the hair on Dr. Moss's arms stand up. Within 12 hours, the best minds at NASA confirmed what John had suspected. They were receiving a distress call from deep space, an alien distress call. The United Nations Space Command gathered an emergency session 3 days later. Representatives from every spacefaring nation sat in tense silence as the signal was played for them. "Our translation algorithms suggest this is a plea for help," explained Dr. Moss, now the lead scientist on what they were calling First Contact Protocol. "We believe a large fleet of ships is trapped in decaying orbit around a dying star." The room erupted in voices. "How many ships?" asked the Chinese delegate. "Based on the signal strength and repeated references to population counts, we estimate approximately 30,000 vessels," Dr. Moss replied. A murmur of disbelief spread through the room. Captain Lisa Harrington, commander of Earth's most advanced spacecraft, stood up. "The signal includes technical data. Their life support systems are failing. The star's radiation is increasing. They have maybe 3 months before catastrophic failure." "And what do they expect us to do?" asked the Russian representative. "We've barely reached Mars." Lisa stepped forward. "Their technology seems compatible with ours, just more advanced. I believe we can help them." "This could be a trap," cautioned the Indian delegate, "or a test. Or it could be exactly what it sounds like," Lisa countered. "A desperate people facing extinction." For 2 days, the debate raged. Some nations wanted to ignore the call, focusing on Earth's problems. Others saw opportunity in alien technology. A few voiced genuine humanitarian concern. Finally, the Secretary General called for a vote. Those in favor of launching a rescue mission, hands raised slowly around the table, a narrow majority. "Then it's decided. Operation Lighthouse will commence immediately." Within weeks, 5 ships were being prepared. The ECS Horizon would serve as flagship, accompanied by the Intrepid, Valor, Dauntless, and Endeavor. Each vessel was fitted with experimental faster-than-light drives, never before used for a mission of this scale. As Captain Harrington boarded the Horizon, a reporter called out, "Why risk Earth's best ships and people for aliens we've never met?" Lisa paused on the boarding ramp. "Because they asked for help. And because someday we might be the ones sending that signal into the dark." The launch was watched by billions as the 5 ships rose into the evening sky, carrying humanity's best hope for a successful first contact, and the aliens' best hope for survival. Alan Rivera hadn't slept in 36 hours. His eyes burned as he checked the power couplings on the ECS Horizon's engine room for the 3rd time. The ship wasn't designed for what they were about to attempt, but there was no time to build something new. "Rivera, you need rest," said Grace Wilson, the chief engineer. She handed him a protein bar and gestured to the readouts. "The modifications are holding steady." "For now," Alan said, taking a bite. "But once we hit full speed, these connections will experience 10 times the normal stress." Around them, the massive engine bay hummed with activity as engineers from 5 nations worked to prepare the fleet for its journey. The Horizon, largest of the rescue vessels, would lead the way. If it failed, the mission failed. On the bridge, Captain Lisa Harrington studied the mission plans while Commander Daniel Pierce argued with officials on a secure channel. "We understand the risks," Pierce was saying, his face tense. "But we've run the simulations 100 times. Simulations aren't reality," came the response from Admiral Chen at Mission Control. "The UN is already questioning this mission's cost if we lose 5 ships and crews." "With respect, Admiral," Lisa interrupted, "every hour we debate is an hour those refugees lose. We've made our decision." In the medical bay, Dr. Olivia Moss adjusted her microscope. The sample in front of her, a snippet of biological data extracted from the alien transmissions, was fascinating. The aliens, who called themselves Silurians, had included basic medical information in their distress call. "Their cellular structure suggests silicon-based adaptations," she mumbled into her recorder. "Likely evolved in a high-radiation environment." A knock at the door made her look up. Navigator Paul Martinez entered, carrying a tablet. "Doctor, I've mapped our course based on the signal location," he said. "It's going to take us through some unusual space." Olivia examined the star charts. "These regions haven't been properly surveyed." "That's putting it mildly. We'll be the first humans to cross these sectors." In the ship's mess hall, Kelly Roberts sat with dozens of other crew members watching the news from Earth. Protests had broken out in several cities, some supporting the mission, others demanding its cancellation. "Why save aliens when people are suffering here?" shouted one protester on the screen. Sam Walsh, the Horizon's first officer, switched off the display. "Enough of that. We have work to do." "They don't understand," Kelly said quietly. "They didn't hear the signal like we did. Those people are dying out there." The final preparations came faster than anyone expected. Political pressure forced an early launch date, leaving the crews scrambling to finish modifications. On launch day, Frank Miller, the security chief, supervised the loading of final supplies. Cutting it close, he commented as the last containers were secured. "Story of this mission," Natalie Foster replied, checking inventory on her tablet. As cultural liaison, she had been studying the fragments of Silurian language they had decoded. "I just hope we can communicate with them when we arrive." The countdown began at dawn. 5 ships, gleaming in the early morning light, prepared to make history. Billions watched around the world as humanity's first interstellar rescue mission prepared to depart. Inside the Horizon's bridge, Lisa looked at her crew, scientists, soldiers, engineers, and explorers, all volunteering for a mission many considered impossible. "Final systems check," she ordered. "All systems ready," Daniel responded. "Earth Control has cleared us for departure." Lisa took a deep breath. "Let's bring those people home." The engines ignited, a blue flame that quickly intensified to blinding white. One by one, the 5 ships rose from Earth, accelerating toward the stars and the desperate voices calling from the darkness. The blue light of faster-than-light travel filled the windows of the ECS Horizon as Earth vanished behind them. The 5-ship fleet pushed deeper into space than humans had ever ventured before. Captain Lisa Harrington floated in the observation deck, watching the strange light patterns that formed when reality bent around their vessels. 3 days into the journey, and already they had faced their first crisis. "Captain," Paul Martinez's voice came through her earpiece, "we need you on the bridge." When Lisa arrived, the bridge crew stood around the central display table. A hologram showed their position and trajectory, with a troubling red area ahead. "The drive is performing differently than expected," Daniel Pierce explained. "We're experiencing microfractures in the field generators." Lisa studied the readouts. "Can we continue?" Chief Engineer Grace Wilson shook her head. "Not at current speeds. We'll tear the ships apart. If we slow down, we won't reach the Excelarians in time," Paul said quietly. Lisa touched the display, zooming in on the red warning areas. Options. Alan Rivera stepped forward. I have an idea, but it's never been tested. He pointed to a schematic of the engine core. If we redirect power through these secondary circuits, we might be able to stabilize the field. Might? Lisa asked. It's that or turn back, Alan replied. Lisa nodded. Do it. For 12 hours, the fleet drifted in normal space while engineering teams modified the drives. On the Dauntless, the fourth ship in their formation, the work proved especially difficult. Captain, we have a problem, Sam Walsh reported from the Dauntless. Our main power conduit ruptured during the shutdown. Casualties? Lisa asked immediately. 2 injured, none critical, but we can't restart until it's repaired. Can you fix it? There was a pause. Yes, but someone needs to go outside. Outside meant extravehicular activity in unknown space, with strange radiation and unknown particles bombarding their shields. It meant danger. I'll lead the repair team, Sam volunteered. 4 hours later, Lisa watched from the horizon as tiny figures in spacesuits worked on the Dauntless's hull. The vast emptiness of space surrounded them, broken only by distant stars and strange wisps of cosmic dust. Kelly Roberts, monitoring communications, suddenly straightened in her chair. Captain, I'm picking up something. The Xelarians. No, Kelly adjusted her equipment. It's not like their signal. It's older somehow, and it's coming from nearby. Paul checked his instruments. There's some kind of structure at the edge of our sensor range. Artificial. Lisa looked at the readout. Not Xelarian. No match to their technology signatures, Paul confirmed. This is something else entirely. The bridge fell silent. They had expected empty space, not ancient mysteries. Log it, Lisa decided. We'll report it to Earth when we return. Our priority is the rescue mission. As they prepared to resume their journey, Dr. Olivia Moss entered the bridge. Captain, I've been analyzing the space ahead. There's a gravitational anomaly in our path. Can we go around it? Not without adding weeks to our journey. Lisa studied the star charts. Then we go through it. Alert all ships. The fleet reformed into a tight formation as they approached the anomaly. From the outside, it looked like a slight distortion in space, a place where stars seemed to bend. Inside was something else entirely. Gravitational forces increasing, Paul reported as they entered. Shields holding but. A violent shudder ran through the horizon. Behind them, the Dauntless spun wildly as a massive wave of energy struck its port side. Dauntless is hit, Kelly shouted. They're venting atmosphere on decks 3 through 7. Emergency protocols, Lisa ordered. Bring us alongside. Prepare rescue teams. As the horizon turned back to help their stricken comrade, Lisa stared through the viewport at the swirling chaos around them. They were only halfway to their destination, and already paying a heavy price. But ahead, still waiting, were 30,000 ships full of people counting on them to arrive. The massive alien fleet appeared first as tiny points of light against the dying star. As the human ships drew closer, those lights resolved into thousands of vessels, strange, crystalline structures unlike anything built on Earth. My God, Paul Martins whispered from his navigation station. There's so many of them. Captain Lisa Harrington stood motionless, taking in the scale of what they faced. The Xelarian refugee fleet stretched across millions of kilometers, arranged in a spiraling pattern around the red giant star. The star itself pulsed ominously, its outer layers expanding with each cycle. Radiation levels are even higher than we expected, Dr. Olivia Moss reported, checking her instruments. How are they surviving this? They may not be for much longer, Daniel Pierce replied. Look at the ships on the inner orbit. The view screen zoomed in on the closest vessels. Even to untrained human eyes, the damage was obvious. Hull breaches were visible on several ships, hastily patched with makeshift materials. Open a channel, Lisa ordered. All frequencies, using the translation matrix we developed. Kelly Roberts activated the communication system. Channel open, Captain. Lisa took a deep breath. This is Captain Lisa Harrington of the Earth Rescue Fleet. We received your distress call and have come to help. Please respond. For several minutes, silence filled the bridge. Then a burst of static came through the speakers, followed by a strange melodic voice speaking halting English. Earth vessels, you have truly come. Not illusion. Lisa smiled. We're real. 5 ships with crews ready to assist your people. This is Council Elder Tarek. We had lost hope. Natalie Foster stepped forward. As cultural liaison, she had studied the Silurian language fragments extensively. Elder Tarek, we are honored to meet you. May we approach and dock with your command vessel? There was a pause. Approach with caution. Our people have never seen your kind. 6 hours later, Lisa stood in the airlock with Natalie, Frank Miller, and Dr. Moss. The security chief looked uncomfortable. I don't like this, Frank muttered, checking his sidearm. We know nothing about their intentions. They're refugees, not warriors, Lisa reminded him. And they need our help. Just stay alert, Frank replied. First contact situations are unpredictable. The airlock cycled open, revealing 3 tall, slender beings. Their skin shimmered with a bluish metallic sheen, and their 4 eyes, arranged in a diamond pattern, blinked independently. What appeared to be fine crystalline structures protruded from their elongated skulls. Elder Tarek stepped forward, towering over the humans. Captain Harrington, you journey. Great distance for strangers. Lisa nodded. That's what neighbors do. The translator worked well enough, but nuance was clearly being lost. The Silurians tilted their heads in what seemed like confusion. Come, Tarek gestured. See our situation. The humans followed their hosts through corridors that seemed both familiar and alien. The ship's design suggested practical engineering solutions similar to human approaches, yet executed with unfamiliar materials. They reached a command center where dozens of Silurians worked at crystal-like consoles. A large display showed the status of their fleet. 3 generations, Tarek explained, pointing to markings on the screen. Since leaving homeworld. 1 generation, born in these ships. What happened to your planet? Dr. Moss asked. Climate collapse. Resource wars. Like your Earth histories. Lisa exchanged glances with her crew. The parallels were unsettling. Our navigation systems, damaged in solar storm, Tarek continued, cannot escape stars' gravity. Each orbit brings us closer. We can help with that, Lisa assured him. Our ships have advanced navigation systems we can adapt to yours. A low murmur spread through the command center as Tarek translated for his people. Not all reactions seemed positive. Why would Earth help us? Another Silurian demanded, stepping forward. What do you want in return? Frank tensed, but Lisa raised a hand to calm him. We help because you asked, she said simply, and because someday we might need help too. The Silurians conferred among themselves, their musical language filling the room. Finally, Tarek turned back to the humans. Show us what you can do, he said. Time grows short. The scale of the crisis became clearer with each passing hour. Alan Rivera stood in the main engineering bay of the largest Silurian vessel, surrounded by alien technology that was both familiar and utterly foreign. Grace Wilson floated beside him, running scans on the crystalline power conduits. 30,000 ships, Grace said, shaking her head. We'd need 50 years to retrofit them all. Alan studied the holographic display showing the fleet's arrangement. We have 2 weeks before the next solar flare. Maybe less. The Silurian engineer named Verix approached, his movements graceful in the low gravity. Your assessment is troubling, he said through the translator device. Can your 5 ships not rescue us all? Alan exchanged glances with Grace. We can't evacuate your people. There are too many, and our vessels are too small. We need to help you save yourselves." In the command center, Captain Lisa Harrington faced a similar realization as she met with Commander Pierce and Dr. Laura Jenkins, the fleet's chief science officer. "The situation is worse than we thought," Laura explained, displaying data on her tablet. "The star's deterioration is accelerating. These radiation spikes will increase in frequency and intensity." "How long do they really have?" Lisa asked. Laura's expression was grim. 10 days, not the months they estimated. Lisa touched the display, zooming in on the star. "Options. I have one," Laura said hesitantly. "But it's risky. We could create a hyperspace corridor, basically a tunnel through space-time that could move the entire fleet at once." "That technology is theoretical," Daniel objected. "We've never deployed it at this scale." "The Solarians have something similar," Laura countered. "If we combine our technology with theirs, amplify their crystal power sources with our antimatter initiators." "You're talking about the biggest engine ever built," Lisa realized. Laura nodded. "One that could move 30,000 ships simultaneously." In the medical bay, Dr. Olivia Moss worked frantically alongside Solarian health specialists. The radiation was already affecting the aliens, particularly the youngest and oldest. "Their cellular regeneration is failing," she told Natalie Foster, who had come to check on her progress. "The radiation damages their silicon-based tissues in ways we didn't anticipate." "Can you help them?" Natalie asked, watching as a Solarian child was treated nearby, its skin dulled from the radiation exposure. "I'm trying," Olivia said. "Their biology is so different, yet there are enough similarities that our radiation treatments might work if modified." Meanwhile, on the engineering deck, Alan and Verix had begun testing a prototype interface between human and Solarian technology. The two systems were never designed to work together, but necessity drove innovation. "Ready for power test," Alan called out. Grace monitored the readouts, starting at 10% capacity. The connection point between human equipment and Solarian crystals began to glow. Energy flowed between them, building in intensity. 15%, Grace reported. 20. At 30%, the crystals flared with blinding light. Alarms sounded as energy surged through the system. "Shut it down," Alan shouted. Verix moved with surprising speed, placing his hands directly on the overloading crystals. His skin absorbed some of the energy, channeling it away from the critical junctions. The system stabilized, then powered down. "That was close," Grace breathed. Verix's skin glowed faintly from the absorbed energy. "Our systems reject your power source," he explained. "The frequencies are incompatible." Alan stared at the damaged equipment. "We need to completely redesign the interface." "In 10 days, Grace asked quietly. Back in the command center, Lisa received their report with growing concern. Elder Tarek stood beside her, his 4 eyes blinking in their unsettling pattern. "If the test failed," he began. "We'll find another way," Lisa assured him. "My engineers won't stop until they solve this." Laura Jenkins approached with new data. "Captain, I've been analyzing the star's behavior. The radiation isn't following expected patterns." She displayed a simulation. "It's almost as if something is causing the star to destabilize artificially." "Are you suggesting this isn't natural?" Lisa asked. Laura hesitated. "I'm saying there's more going on here than we understand." As the human crew dispersed to continue their work, Elder Tarek watched them with an unreadable expression. Around them, the great refugee fleet continued its slow spiral toward disaster, while deep within the dying star, something stirred. A massive solar flare erupted from the star without warning, its deadly energy washing over the outermost ships of the Solarian fleet. Alarms blared throughout both alien and human vessels as radiation levels spiked dangerously. Radiation shields failing on sectors 12 through 17. Kelly Roberts shouted from her communication station. Multiple Solarian ships reporting critical damage. Captain Lisa Harrington grabbed the edge of the command console as the horizon shuddered under the strain of the radiation wave. Status of our fleet. Intrepid took the brunt of it. Daniel Pierce reported, his face grim. They positioned themselves between the flare and 3 Xilarian nursery ships. "Get me Captain Ellis," Lisa ordered. The view screen flickered to life, showing the Intrepid's bridge filled with smoke. Captain Ben Ellis appeared, blood streaming from a cut on his forehead. "We've lost main power and our starboard hull is compromised," he reported. "But we saved those nursery ships, over 2,000 Xilarian children. Can you stabilize your vessel?" Ellis shook his head. "Not here. We need to pull back to a safer orbit." Lisa nodded. "Do it. We can't afford to lose you." As the Intrepid limped away from the danger zone, the human crews scrambled to help the damaged Xilarian vessels. Every available shuttle was deployed, carrying repair teams and medical personnel. In the chaos, Alan Rivera found himself aboard a critically damaged Xilarian ship. He had been inspecting their power systems when the flare hit, and now the vessel was spinning out of control, its navigation systems fried. "Engine room to bridge," he called through his communicator. "Can anyone hear me?" Static answered him. The ship's internal communications were down. Worse, the life support systems were failing, their distinctive hum fading to silence. "Think, Rivera," he muttered to himself, studying the alien engine controls. The crystalline interface glowed weakly, emergency power nearly depleted. On the horizon, Dr. Laura Jenkins rushed into the command center with a tablet displaying her latest findings. "Captain, I figured it out," she announced. "The star isn't dying naturally. It's being destabilized by some kind of ancient technology embedded deep inside." Technology. Lisa looked up from the damage reports. "Whose?" "Unknown," Laura replied. "But it's creating artificial gravitational waves that are tearing the star apart from the inside." Elder Zarek approached, having overheard. "This confirms old legends. Star killers." "Star killers?" Daniel repeated. "Ancient race. Enemies of my ancestors," Zarek explained. "Left weapons throughout galaxy. Traps for travelers." Lisa processed this new information quickly. "So your fleet didn't just have bad luck. You were caught in a trap set thousands of years ago." "Yes," Zarek's eyes blinked in their unsettling pattern. "Weapon designed to destroy any who approach." Back on the damaged Xilarian ship, Alan had managed to restore minimal power. But the vessel was still drifting toward the unstable star, pulled by its increasing gravity. "Horizon, this is Rivera," he called through his suit's emergency channel. "I'm trapped on Xilarian vessel Kyrix. We're on a decay trajectory. Need immediate assistance." Miles away, Grace Wilson received his message. "Captain, Rivera is trapped on a failing ship. It's headed into the high radiation zone." "Can we reach him with a shuttle?" Lisa asked. "Not in time," Paul Martinez answered, checking the trajectories. "That sector will be hit by another radiation wave in 20 minutes. Lisa made a quick decision. "Prepare a tether drone. We'll try to establish a line to pull them out." In the Xilarian medical bay, Dr. Olivia Moss worked frantically as more radiation victims arrived. She had discovered that a combination of human anti-radiation medications and Xilarian regenerative compounds created an effective treatment, but supplies were limited. "We need more synthesizers," she told Natalie Foster, who was helping tend to the injured. "At this rate, we'll run out of medication in hours." "I'll contact Earth for emergency supplies," Natalie promised, though she knew any help would take days to arrive. Outside, in the vacuum of space, Sam Walsh led a team of engineers in spacesuits, working to deploy massive radiation shields between the star and the most vulnerable ships. It was dangerous work. Already 2 team members had received concerning radiation doses. "Just one more anchor point," Sam instructed, maneuvering the unwieldy shield into position. As he worked, he could see the star flaring again in the distance, its surface roiling with unnatural energy. Behind him, Humanity's small fleet strained to protect thousands of alien vessels, while below, ancient weapons continued their destructive work, unaware that their targets now had unlikely allies willing to risk everything to save them. The stars looked different from Earth orbit. Elder Tsarek stood on the observation deck of the United Nations space station, his 4 eyes taking in the blue-green planet below. 6 months had passed since the desperate escape from the dying star. Still adjusting to the view, Captain Lisa Harrington asked, joining him at the viewport. "Your world has much water," Tsarek replied. "Different from our lost homeworld." Lisa smiled. "Different, but welcoming, I hope." The evacuation had succeeded against impossible odds. After Dr. Laura Jenkins discovered the ancient weapon destroying the star, the human and Silurian engineers had worked non-stop to implement her hyperspace corridor plan. The corridor had formed a temporary bridge through space, allowing the entire fleet to travel simultaneously. Not all ships made it. 17 Silurian vessels and the ECS Dauntless were lost during the final moments. But over 29,000 ships escaped, carrying nearly 3 million refugees. "The Earth Council meets today," Lisa said. "They're voting on the permanent settlement proposal." Tsarek's crystalline head structures shimmered, a sign of emotion. "Some of your people still resist our presence." "Some," Lisa acknowledged. "Not most." Below them, temporary Silurian settlements dotted Earth's oceans, floating cities built with combined human and alien technology. The first weeks had been difficult. Cultural misunderstandings, resource concerns, and lingering suspicion had created tension. Everything changed when the first Silurian medical centers opened. The aliens shared healing technologies beyond human development, treatments that cured diseases long thought incurable. In gratitude for their rescue, the Silurians offered their medical knowledge freely. In the main conference room, Alan Rivera and Varix presented their latest project to an audience of human and Silurian engineers. The two had become close friends during a crisis, their partnership producing remarkable innovations. "The Deep Space Monitoring System will give us early warning of any other ancient weapons," Alan explained, pointing to the schematic. "Using Silurian crystal technology with human quantum computing." After the presentation, Dr. Olivia Moss approached them with exciting news. "The hybrid cellular therapy is working," she told them. "The radiation damage in both species is being reversed." Across the station, Daniel Pierce and Paul Martinez monitored reports from the new colony site. The United Nations had designated a previously uninhabited Earth-protected system as the permanent home for the Silurian people. "Construction is ahead of schedule," Paul noted. "The first 10,000 families can relocate next month." "Good," Daniel said, "though I suspect many will choose to stay near Earth." In what had once been the station's cafeteria, now converted into a cultural exchange center, Natalie Foster watched Silurian children playing with human kids. The young ones adapted quickly, learning each other's languages and customs without the hesitation of their elders. "They don't see differences," Grace Wilson observed, joining her. "Just new friends." "The future," Natalie agreed. That evening, representatives from Earth and the Silurian Council gathered for a formal ceremony. The United Nations Secretary-General stood beside Elder Tsarek as they signed the historic Alliance Treaty, the first official agreement between humanity and another intelligent species. "Today marks not an end, but a beginning," the Secretary-General announced. "What started as a rescue mission has become something more, a partnership that will benefit both our peoples." Lisa watched from the side of the room, her crew standing proudly beside her. They had lost friends, they had faced impossible odds, but they had changed the course of human history. After the ceremony, Frank Miller approached his captain with a data tablet. "You'll want to see this," he said. "We're picking up unusual signals from deep space, different pattern than the Silurians." Lisa took the tablet, studying the unfamiliar signal pattern. "Another call for help." "Maybe," Frank replied, "or maybe something else entirely." Outside the viewport, Earth rotated slowly, beautiful and fragile. Beyond it stretched the vastness of space, filled with unknown dangers and possibilities. The Accelarians had been the first contact, but they would not be the last. Lisa handed the tablet to Kelly Roberts. "Start analyzing the signal. Get our best people on it." "You think we're going back out there?" Kelly asked. Lisa smiled. "I think humanity has just discovered we're not alone in the universe, and we've proven we can make a difference." She looked at the stars beyond the station. "This is just the beginning." 50 years had passed since the Accelarian rescue. Captain Lisa Harrington's portrait hung in the United Earth Fleet headquarters alongside other pioneers who had shaped humanity's journey to the stars. The famous rescue mission had changed everything. Alan Rivera, now Admiral Rivera, walked slowly through the memorial garden outside the New Geneva spaceport. At 78, his steps weren't as steady as they once were, but his mind remained sharp. He paused before a crystal monument that shimmered in the afternoon sunlight, a Accelarian creation honoring those lost during the evacuation. "I thought I might find you here," said a familiar voice. Alan turned to see Varix approaching. The Accelarian showed age in his own way. The crystal formations on his head had grown larger and more complex, taking on a milky translucence that came with their equivalent of elder status. "Hard to believe it's been half a century," Alan said, clasping his friend's hand in the gesture that had become standard between their species. "For you, perhaps," Varix replied with the musical lilt all Accelarians had when speaking human languages. "For us, it is but a small passage." The two old friends sat on a bench overlooking the spaceport. Ships of both human and Accelarian design rose from the launch pads, bound for colonies throughout the solar system and beyond. "The Orion mission launches tomorrow," Alan said, watching a massive vessel being prepared at the far end of the field. "First joint expedition to another galaxy. A journey our ancestors could not have imagined," Varix agreed. "Captain Foster seems well suited to lead it." Alan smiled at the mention of Natalie Foster's granddaughter, who had followed in the footsteps of those first contact pioneers. "She reminds me of Lisa sometimes." A soft chime sounded from Alan's communication band. "Speaking of which, we should head to the ceremony." The memorial service was held in the great dome of the Accelarian Embassy, a stunning structure of crystal and light that had become one of Earth's architectural wonders. Humans and Accelarians gathered together, no longer separated by suspicion or difference. Dr. Olivia Moss, one of the last surviving members of the original rescue mission, spoke first. Despite her advanced age, her voice carried clearly through the chamber. "When we answered the call 50 years ago, we couldn't have known where it would lead," she said. "We were simply responding to those in need, but in saving the Accelarians, we also saved something in ourselves." The ceremony continued with speeches from leaders of both species, recounting how the alliance had flourished. The Accelarian medical technologies had extended human lifespans by decades. Human agricultural techniques had helped establish thriving Accelarian colonies. Together, they had created defenses against the ancient star-killer weapons that had once nearly destroyed them both. After the formal speeches, Alan found himself speaking with Kelly Roberts' son, who had followed his mother into communications. The Deep Space Array picked up something interesting last week, the younger Roberts told him. A signal pattern similar to the one that started it all. Alan's eyebrows rose. "Another distress call." "We think so, from a species we haven't encountered yet." Later that evening, as the celebration continued, Alan and Varix stood on the embassy's observation platform. The first stars were becoming visible in the darkening sky. "Will Earth answer this new call?" Varix asked. Alan watched as the lights of a massive ship, part human, part Accelarian technology, rose from the distant launch pad. "We already are," he replied. "The Orion mission has been redirected. Captain Foster requested the assignment personally." "Even knowing the dangers?" Alan smiled. "Especially knowing the dangers. That's who we've become, old friend. When we answered your call, we changed our destiny." Below them, the great city blazed with light. human and Silurian homes side by side. Above, the stars beckoned with new possibilities, new civilizations waiting to be discovered or helped. To think, Varric said softly, all of this from a simple distress signal. Sometimes, Alan replied, watching the ship disappear into the night sky. A call for help is the beginning of the greatest journey.